Zaxby's, indescribably good.
Hello, Raider fans, and welcome to the Rocky Hidalgo Show, sponsored by Zaxby's. Zaxby's, with 2 locations on Johnson Ferry Road in East Cobb, one at the corner of Lower Roswell and one at the corner of Shallowford. Here with head coach Rocky Hidalgo, I'm Tim Burns. Coach, before we get started talking about the game coming up this week at the Dome, do want to send out congratulations from Raider fans on the best season in Walton Raider history last year, 14-1 finish. I know that one probably still sticks in the craw a little bit. Wanted to get that win in the Dome and win the state championship, but nonetheless, best season in Walton history.
No, thank you very much. It was a special year for all of us. I know for our school and players and community, a lot of great memories, and those guys made a tremendous legacy for themselves. And better than
one thing about getting back there and being able to do it again is you got to replace some of the players you lost, and you got a whole lot returning on offense, but defensively, you had an outstanding defense last year, and a lot of those guys, unfortunately, were seniors, and they've moved on. And not only did you lose a lot of players, but you also lost a member.
Yeah, you know, it was defensively, as good as we were on offense, defensively. Zach Blaylock alone was responsible for 17 turnovers, touchdowns, or 4 touchdowns, defensive touchdowns. That's a huge production. That's just from one player, plus the other 8 guys that we lost. We lost some great players. We have some good players that are replacing those guys, and talented players. I'm not going to say good players. Talented players. They don't know what to do yet. They're learning how to kind of go about play football the Walton way. It's not about playing ball. It's about prepare. That's the hardest thing for inexperienced young players. Very fortunate that we were able to hire 2 great defensive coaches, Chris Stewart, who comes over from Robinson, who was a long-time defense. Both guys are recognized.
Coach, we'll take a break here for just a moment and hear from our sponsor, Zaxby's, and we'll be back with more of the Rocky Hidalgo Show right after this.
Zaxby's, indescribably good.
All right, we're back here on the Rocky Hidalgo Show, sponsored by Zaxby's. We've talked a little bit about last season. Time to put that to bed and move on to this season, Coach. A lot of changes this year, not only with your team and new members on the defensive side of the football, but also you got a new classification here in Georgia high school football with 6A, and, of course, Walton, a member of 6A, and also a new region alignment. You stay in Region 5. Mm-hmm. Marietta moves out and goes to Region 4, and in comes Milton, and Roswell, moving from Region 6 over to Region 5. 2 opponents that you're familiar with, but what it does is it makes your region now an 18 region when it was a 17 region. So.
Yeah, you know, it'll be, you know, we've had some great games versus Roswell and Milton. They're traditional rivals for us. Had, you know, some both back and forth with Roswell. I mean, that game has traditionally been for the region championship over the last decade or so. So it's good to have them back on the schedule in a game that really matters in regards to the region. Milton is a program that is Coach Howard DeCristofaro is doing a great job over there. They've always had talent. 7 kids who are coming back this year with BCS offers. So it's going to make the region really tough to win.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch. A lot of teams go through changes like your team's going through with the loss of defensive players and stuff. And so we'll see how everyone responds once the schedule gets underway, and it gets underway this coming weekend at the Georgia Dome. Before we get to that, I want to talk a little bit about the scrimmage the past weekend against Hillgrove. I was not able to attend. From what I heard, and you can certainly talk about this, but Hillgrove on the defensive side of the ball, they seem to have a little easier time getting into the backfield than you probably would like.
Yeah, we didn't play real well on the offensive line. I think our kids understand that. We win football games with our offensive line play. We didn't play real well, but we've kind of got some guys. We really we're returning really a guy who started for us, and then some guys who played here and there. So we're really rebuilding up there. We feel like we have good players, and we're going to have a good offensive line. But a lot of that is just the continuity and the chemistry of getting those guys to play together. So that was part of it. Personally, as it was. I'm not happy that we didn't play well, but at the other side, we left the game healthy. I think our kids showed up to practice on Wednesday with a new, fresh attitude. I think we probably run around a little bit, patting ourselves on the back, telling everybody how great we're going to be, and not working as hard as we should have been. And I think our struggles on Tuesday night probably opened some people's eyes. So from that respect, it was good. Hillgrove's got a great football team. They've returned a bunch back on defense. I mean, they've got a heck of a football team, and they're very experienced on the defensive front. In the secondary, they've got an incredible secondary, and they're very physical up front. And they kind of took it to us a little bit. If we want to win in the Dome, we're going to have to play better up front. We've challenged our kids with that. We've re-emphasized our offensive line play, which is kind of what we've always done, and the kids have really responded. One thing about Walton kids, we've always felt this, with our kids, is they want to be good, and it's important to them. And so Wednesday they came out to practice, they worked their tail off. They understand they didn't play well, and if we want to win, they have to be better than that, and I think eventually we will be.
Well, one thing about a preseason scrimmage is a scrimmage. It is an exhibition game. It's basically a practice for both teams, but it is a chance for you to see your team in game situations, and you can take it and kind of go back to the drawing board and see what you need to work on, and it sounds like you were able to do that on Wednesday.
Yeah, we've had great teams that have performed poorly in the scrimmage, and we've had some of our worst teams that have looked dynamite in the scrimmage. From a fan sitting in the stands, I'm not sure you can take anything from it. It's really about what we as coaches are trying to accomplish, and in some ways we did some good things, and some ways we left the game with some question marks that we've got to fill. Defensively, we only played one down of run defense with the starters. So going into the game on Saturday, we really don't know how we're going to perform up front with that rebuilt defensive front, and so they're just going to have to learn on the fly a little bit.
All right. Well, got the Corky Kell Classic coming up this Saturday in the Georgia Dome. You've been fortunate to be a part of that for a number of years. So Walton High School has established themselves as a member of the Corky Kell Classic, and always brings a great following down there to the Georgia Dome. And last year, Cobb really seemed to stand out with 3 wins and only 1 loss in the Corky Kell Classic, and kind of put Cobb football on the map. Cobb has kind of been on the rise a little bit over the last few years, but if you talk to people around other parts of the state, Cobb doesn't really get a whole lot of credit. But last year, Cobb had a great showing in the Georgia Dome.
Look, Cobb County football's come a million miles since 1996. I think our coaching across the board is as good or better than any area. We have some excellent coaches in Cobb County now that, 16 years ago we did not. I think when you look at the success we had in the Corky Kell last year, I mean, you had Lassiter and Walton who were, state finalists, a semifinalist, McEachern who lost to Lassiter. We also had Hillgrove and Kell High School in the county. You could say we had 4 of the top probably 7 or 8 teams in the state of Georgia in Cobb County last year. Unfortunately, we didn't win the state championship, but I think Cobb County5-6 years has done well on statewide and will continue to do so.
All right, well, the team that you get to play this year is Brookwood. Last time you faced them was 2010 and lost to them 27-10, but that was the year that they went on to win the state championship. So, they were certainly a much tougher opponent than maybe we realized at the time. And going on.
Yeah, even in that game, there was a one play at toward the end of the third quarter where we had Brookwood backed up, and the game was 21-10. They were in a 3rd and long situation, and they kind of threw a jump ball, and we had 2 opportunities to intercept the ball, and both guys missed it. They caught the ball for about a 40-yard gain, and the next play they ran a long touchdown run. Very easily we could have intercepted the ball, had the ball in the 36. down 10, 11 points, and the game is different from them. So football is a game of inches and plays. I mean, you never know when that play is going to happen that's going to turn the game around. Big interception at that moment could have put us right back in the thick of it, and we may have had an opportunity to play the game because, a 21-10 game or 21-17 game is very different in the fourth quarter than one that's 27-10. It's just the way the game works. There are 2 or 3 plays that's going to be the difference in winning and losing, and there were, 3 or 4 in that game, and if we'd have made them, we'd have had a chance to win it. We didn't, and we lost.
Well, Brookwood is a team that, despite being a Gwinnett County team, not a team, obviously, they're still a team that you're fairly familiar with because you've seen them a few times over the last few years. And one thing you know is that Coach Mark Cruz will have his team prepared and ready to go.
Yeah, we actually, years ago, Coach Dudley, when he was the head coach here, we modeled our football program after what Dave was doing at Brookwood High School. And we looked at what they did, and that's essentially, we said we want to be those guys. So we know them very well. We're very good friends with their staff. I love playing against those guys. It's always a tough game. It's kind of mirror images of one another. We're both big physical teams. We're going to try to run the ball, play hard-nosed defense, and we're usually both solid in the kicking game. So there's not going to be any secrets when we hit the field out there. I guess we could invent some new plays and try to fool them, but that usually doesn't work. It usually comes down to a matter of execution and who's going to make the least amount of mistakes.
Coach, let's talk about what we've got this year. We know and fans know to expect that Walton is going to run the football, like you said. We know all about Tyron Jones, number 1 back there in the backfield, and big offensive lineman and quarterback headed to the University of Alabama. We do have to replace a couple of receivers, though, and that's no easy task. But who do we have to look for on the outside this year?
I think one guy who's really done well is Ryan Craig. Ryan is a tough kid. He's a Walton kid. He's worked his tail off in the weight room, and he's just kind of a hard-nosed kid. He's not real big. He's a really good athlete, catches the ball well in traffic, and does all those little things that enables us to be successful here. DJ Smith will play some time at wide receiver, and DJ is an incredible athlete, and he's shown that he has the ability to be a very dynamic playmaker on offense. And we're going to try to get the ball to him out there. Another guy is Maurice Gibson, who is a junior safety and wide receiver for us. And he has really shown a lot of improvement. Big upside. He catches the ball well. He's a big kid. He's a strong kid. He's got a chance to be one of those big physical possession-type receivers that you kind of need over there. And then, finally, there's Stone Romberg. And Stone's been the steady Eddie of our football program, and he's kind of really what we're all about. He's just one of those kids that works his tail off, and he's incredibly competitive and goes out there and does all the little things. We preach that to our kids. We say that winners make things happen, and they got to fall in line, and he's one of those guys. He's an incredible leader of our team, not necessarily vocally, but just from an example. He goes out and sets a great example. It's enabled him to be a 2-year starter.
Coach, and I'm going to give you a chance to talk about a few more of your players and make the fans familiar with who to expect to see out there on the field this year. We know about Brandon Coblano, obviously, committed to Georgia. Jake Boynton, a recent commitment to Kentucky, Big Jake. And who else is going to be filling in the gaps on the offensive line, though? You lost some great guys in Grant Radakovich and a couple others.
Yeah, we had a very good offensive line. A lot of guys who were probably really underrated. Michael Lord, who played 3 positions for us last year, was an excellent high school football player. And he played quick guard, center, and strong tackle last year and did a great job. Guys like that, nobody will look on a preseason review of the team, and his name won't be mentioned, but he might be the hardest one to replace of all the guys lost up front. But Brad Green is a senior for us, tight end, who's done a good job, and he's going to have his opportunity to go out there and show what he can do at tight end. Griffin Wilkinson played quite a bit last year when Grant was injured. Griffin is a very, very good football player. He's a really physical kid. He's got a lot of snap off the ball. I think he's going to be an exceptional high school center. At quick guard, we still have 2 guys kind of battling out right there, Joe Cook and Jack Schaefer. And both of them we feel like are going to be solid players. We haven't made a decision on who's going to start that game yet. They're kind of still in competition. At strong guard, we were playing Sebastian Cavallo there, but we're looking at him and maybe sophomore Eric Smith to get some time. Eric has really come on and really comes off the ball really well, and he's performed well when we've given him the opportunity. So we might see a little bit of him out there. fullback, we've got Henry Rowling, who's done an incredible job replacing Kelly. He's probably our best football player in terms of he's just a very heady kid. He understands football, getting my pads down, rolling my hips, where I've kind of got to place things. He's just a very good athlete and has kind of knack for that stuff. So, and we've still got a few guys here or there we're trying to sort out. Feel like we have the talent to be pretty good over there. We've kind of got to get some continuity over there. Execution is the name of the game on the offensive side of the ball. And still having too many mistakes here.
Right, and defensively, obviously, a lot to replace. But who are some of the kids who have stood out so far?
You know, I think we have a lot of talented kids on defense. We can really run around, especially in our front seven. Obviously, DJ Smith, who's starting a corner for us. Justice Bailey and Colby Billings and Maurice Gibson are working at safety with us right now. Justice has kind of become our emotional leader over there. I've been really pleased with the way he's accepted a leadership role in our defense. Robert McCarthy will start at the other corner, and Robert is one of those Walton kids. I would tell you, he's worked his tail off speed training in the weight room to turn himself into a really good high school football player. And he's got a chance to go out there and show what he can do. Blake Monts returns at outside linebacker, and Blake's one of those guys. He's a football player. He's a really dynamic player. He doesn't look like much. He's kind of tall and skinny, but man, he plays the game so good. I think you'll see Jordan Vorster and Ridge Gibson at middle linebacker. Ridge has got exceptional leadership skills. Really like the way he's kind of takes control of the whole. Jordan is a kid that we had some injuries at outside linebacker. He really improved so much and very good athlete playing in there. Take him out of the lineup. What we did is we moved Drayon Williams down to the defensive line. He's shown to be a natural 5 technique. Play one spot. We'll have Sebastian Cavallo and Brandon Cablano will play nose guard. And a guy that people will probably be really excited to watch this year is Kyle Whitaker. Kyle will play defensive end for us, and Kyle is the next in line of those great Walton defensive ends. He's really raw. He was injured last year as a sophomore and didn't get a chance to play a whole lot of football. I'm going to tell you what, he's got a chance to be his skills match his athleticism. And the final guy is Jordan Davenport, who's done a nice job at outside linebacker with us. There are a couple guys out there in Christian Burlock and Zach Williams that people are going to see run around. They're guys that are very sudden. They get around the football and do some good things. Defensively, our problem is not ability. Our problem is really learning how to go about doing things. There's so many things that go into being a good defensive football team. So many, our fits, our pursuit angles, all that stuff that come with experience, and that's what we're working on. Got a lot of energy playing over there, but we need to get out and play some games. I think you'll see people, this group, by week 3 or week 4 of the season, be a very, very, very good defense.
Thank you, Coach. That's a bit of what to look for, not only this coming Saturday in the Georgia Dome, but also for the rest of the season. Speaking of the Dome, Walton has to sell 2,200 tickets, Coach. And I know you want all the Walton fans to buy their tickets right here at the school, not only for the $3 savings, because they're $12 here at the school and $15 at the gate at the Georgia Dome, but also because you need to fill that allotment and you want the credit coming from Walton High School for all the Walton fans.
Yeah, we've been invited back continually to the Dome for 2 reasons. One, we have a very good football program, but the other thing is we've had such incredible fan support. I would venture to say, and having spoken with the guys who run the Corky Kell Classic, that we bring as many or more fans than anybody down there. You look up there, and we've got 6,000 or 7,000 guys in Raider Blue standing in the stands. That's huge, and that's one of the reasons we get a chance to go back and play on that stage in the stadium. And we want to go back, and a big part of going back is making sure we sell those tickets and that we get a big crowd going down there. At the end of the day, that it costs a lot of money to rent the Georgia Dome for a Saturday in August and to put on a big celebration. It really is. It's a big celebration of high school football like this, and there are bills to pay, and we've got to make sure that we turn out and do our part, and everybody get in a car and come down there and cheer on the Raiders.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. We know you're busy. Had a long day already, and you got a lot of work to do before next Saturday, so we appreciate you being here and joining us for your show, the Rocky Hidalgo Show. So we'll sign off for tonight. Thanks everyone for watching the Rocky Hidalgo Show, sponsored by Zaxby's. And we'll see you
Zaxby's, indescribably good.